welcome back. Today we're just gonna do snacks with Seth, and I just wanted to have a little bit of a philosophical discussion while I eat some mango. So I eat mango pretty much every day, at least like in when it's in season. And here this is like $1.50 for this, like they cut it for it and everything, so it's pretty good. But I wanted to talk a little bit about like what it means to be an adult. And part of the reason why is because I teach in a university in China, and for some reason, in pretty much until a student graduates, they're treated as if they're like really young, like they're children, you know? And so I think it's kind of an important discussion to have, because when is someone considered an adult? Like some people will say like, oh, when you're 18 and you're legally an adult, therefore you're an adult. But like, is that how it works? Like you just, at the strike of midnight, when the clock strikes 12, you magically turn into an adult now? Like, no, that's not how it works. When is someone an adult? And when you think about it, like if you base being an adult on age, then at the age of 18, they should have the same, like everything, all the rights an adult has should be at 18. But we don't have that, right? Like in America, you can't smoke or drink until you're 21. Well, then are you really an adult? Like what's the age of 21 for? Then if you argue, well, we should base it on brain development. Well, your brain develops until you're like 25 or 26. So should we not be adults then until after that time? Like, what's the period here and why? And I think like, at least in my situation now, the students are constantly like coddled. I'm gay and I can't tell students in any capacity that I'm gay. They're adults. Like I can't mention it at all. If a student asks me, like maybe they see me outside with my partner, I have to lie. I have to pretend. That's what I don't like. Like I don't go around announcing it to the world, but the fact that I have to lie and hide it and pretend after someone's found out is very childish to me. But it's because where I work will say, well, we need to protect the students. Protect them from what? Like what's going to happen? And they're adults. I'm not in a relationship with them. I don't want to be in a relationship with them. I'm not talking about it in class. I'm not, going on my way to do those things. But the very fact that it's known at all is like seen as a danger because they're children. They're still children. I don't know. And then even with me, like I used to teach in preschool, and I was in preschool in the States for not very long. They're not very good. I feel like preschools in the States, I don't know, China, I don't know. Preschools in general. People just throw kids in preschools and they don't care. Like they just leave them be. When I worked in preschool, I just remember like the way teachers talked to children was very condescending. Not always. I feel like anytime they do anything, they just talk like they're less intelligent or I don't know. And for me, I've never talked to children that way. I always talk to them like they're adults. Like appropriately, I don't talk about inappropriate topics with them. They're still children. But what I mean is my tone of voice, the words that I use, like the way I might describe a situation to a child. I use words that, just like if I were talking to an adult. So for example, if we were talking about like the weather, I might say like, why do you think it rains? Where do you think rain comes from? Instead of saying like, you guys, today we're going to imagine a cloud and like what's inside the cloud. Like, I get using wonder and curiosity, but I don't think you need to pretend to be something you're not to do that. Like the way I talk to children is the same way I talk to you. It's like they're human to me. And so like I can draw out their curiosity just by asking questions. I don't need to pretend to enjoy it, right? Because I do enjoy it. That's what I mean. And so I feel like even in university, there's this kind of push that like university students are still children. Maybe it's like student is a child. Like a student is a child until they get into graduate school, I guess. But even then, it's a really weird disconnect. Like you go to high school. I should probably chew my mango. You go to high school and people like, oh, you're not, in college it's a different world. And you got to da-da-da-da-da. But then you get to college and it's like, well, they should have taught you this in high school. Like nobody prepared anyone for anything. Everyone's just saying what will happen but never does, or what should have happened but never did. And they just blame it on, well, you are a child or you're an adult. So when you're a child, it's like, these are the things you have to do. You have to listen to what people say. As an adult, it's like, well, you should know better. You should have done that to begin with. I don't know. I guess for me, I feel like there's a lot of times where I see teachers, parents really berate and belittle kids or children and expect them to turn into these like amazing adults who have all these skills. But it's like you never really took the time to teach them the skills. Rather, you just kept like lowering their self-esteem, their confidence, or puffing it up to the point where it's like now they're confident in things they don't know. They're confident in their lack of ability, you know? And it's like a mixture of narcissistic kids with like insecure kids. And you just put them together, and now they go out into the world and they work and they, you know, do things. In like here, there's this weird belief that children are incapable. I remember when I taught 4-year-olds, and I used to have like an apartment. I would have like multiple families come, and I'd have 4 children in a class, like tutoring. And I had them take off their shoes, and they would wear these like little sandal things, these like flip-flops in the house. They're really easy. You just slip them on, okay? Like anyone can do it. A toddler, a 2-year-old can do it. You just literally put your foot inside. The parents would often set the kids down, remove their shoes for them. By the way, their shoes are Velcro. They're not laced, they're Velcro, you know, so that's easy for kids to do. They would remove their shoes for them and then put their flip-flops or sandals on them. And if I told the parents like the child is capable to do it on their own, they would say, no, they're not, they're too young. I mean, 4 years old is not too young to put on a flip-flop or a sandal, you know? But like in their mindset, it's like you're young, therefore you're weak, you're incapable, you're unable, you're powerless kind of thing. And for me, I always viewed students, especially children, as being equal to me. So like the power I have is the power you have. Now, obviously, there are situations where, like, I'd have to take control, like, okay, we're getting off track, or, like, that's dangerous, don't do that. But what I mean is, like, in normal day situations, my opinion carries as much value as theirs. As a teacher, my job is not to tell them, like, what is right. It's to show them how to get to those answers. It's to show them how to find truth. While I do believe there are concrete truths in the world, my job is not to just say, let me tell you the answer, and you memorize it. My job is to say, how can you get to this answer? How do you know that's the truth? That's the job of a teacher. And I feel like it's kind of been lost. It's kind of been lost in this mixture of like, well, children aren't capable, so we have to tell them what to think rather than how to think. And it's kind of easier to do that, right? It's easier to tell someone what to think because then you know they're always going to do what you want them to do. Where if you tell them how to think, they might question you. They might, fight against your authority. That's the thing too. I've never had this issue because I don't have like an authority problem in my classroom. Because students have as much say as me, they're allowed to say, I don't like that, I don't want to do that. And then we have a discussion about it. I once asked these students to break up into a group. I asked one girl to move over with another group because she was sitting by herself. And I don't know, but I think she had like a problem or beef with another girl in that group. And she just shook her head no. I thought, she normally doesn't do that. Like that's not, so I thought maybe she's having a bad day. Or I saw her, the way she looked over at the other group and I thought, okay, maybe she doesn't want to be with him. So I just asked her, I said, do you want to be with another group or do you want to work alone? And she just said alone. I said, okay. There's no reason for me to fight about it. It's not life or death if she's not in a group, And I think a lot of teachers think like, I told you to, so therefore you have to because you are a child. I am your boss. I am your God. I'm your deity. And that's just one of the things that just never sits right with me. But I kind of want to know what you think. I know that a lot of times on YouTube, people like to argue in discussion or like in comments. But what I would really like to see happen is an actual like fruitful discussion. You're allowed to disagree with me. You're allowed to think that I don't know what I'm talking about. I just want you to have evidence or like examples for why, and then just be courteous about it, be polite. But that's kind of my hope for the channel, is I would like to get to a point where we can have discussions, maybe even do like live stream and we have discussions about issues. Because I feel like, at least in America, there's a lot of contention, there's a lot of division, and it's through like polarized ideas, like political ideas. Well, pretty much everything's politicized in the States, right? Like gender identity, certain like educational thing, everything's politicized and politicians use it to get votes. But I don't want this to be like that. I don't want to be clickbait. I want to be like discussion and like further thinking kind of thing. So if you have ideas for topics you want to talk about or responses you want to say to anything I say, I welcome you to say that in the comments. I check YouTube a lot. I mean, eventually, I don't know, but for now, I check it a lot, and I realize no one's written anything yet, but if you do, I'll be there, okay? Yeah, so thanks for hanging out with me. I had a few bites of mango. My lunch is going to be here soon, and I hope to see you next time.